Welcome to the Town of Shaftsbury Select Board meeting on August 1st, 2016 at 6:31 p.m. Does anyone have a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda tonight?
No.
No. Approval of warrants. We have check warrant number 3 in the amount of $114,066.24.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tony, seconded by Art. This has to do with so some of the bigger ones on here are Blue Cross Blue Shield, Bennington County Regional Commission. We got a $38,000 for the Sun Trust Equipment Finance. We got a $10,000 for Will's Insurance. We got a $19,000 for Will's Insurance.
Will's totals about 50,000. It's all the different policies for the year.
Okay,
All
total
at
about
once.
50,000. So those are the different, those are the big ones. All the rest are under 1,000. Oh, there, yeah, that's all Will's and the Sun Trust Equipment for the most part. Any questions?
How much is left on that truck, Dave? It was in
I
there.
do not have that in front of me. I think we have,
That's
might have
the
been the
Sun-
last payment on, no, there's 2 more payments on the Dodge and the Volvo. Off the top of my head, I forget which one is coming off this year.
Okay, I was just thinking that was about.
Okay, something's coming off this year. I forget which.
Says this is for Dodge, Ram, and Volvo
Yeah,
excavator.
the excavator,
so-
which
Yeah.
are about 2 of the last ones that were purchased, so.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have check warrant number 1 for the Beamers, which is retirement, I believe, for $114.17.
So moved.
Second.
Second, moved by Tony, seconded by Art. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's all one, right?
Yep.
We have check warrant number 2 in the amount of retirement $127.34.
So moved.
Second.
Second, moved by Tony, seconded by Art. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approves 400. All right. Okay. What is this number? Missing a top page.
This is payroll, but the number came off the top.
Okay.
Payroll 2. There it is.
Payroll number 2. Warrant for payroll number 2 in the amount of $19,843.98.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Tony, approved, seconded by Art. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's the last of the warrants.
You have minutes next.
Oh,
Yeah. The minutes, actually, there will be no minutes tonight. For the minutes of 8:25, we don't have a majority of the members that were here for
members
that
that were
meeting.
here.
And I
Oh, okay.
noticed this afternoon that the 8:18 minutes are missing a section, so we have to correct that.
that was a special meeting?
8:25 is a special meeting,
Right.
but only Art and Ken are here from that. And then that other meeting was the regular meeting on the 18th. However, the executive session was not put in the minutes, so I gotta change that before we approve it.
Okay. So the approved minutes will be delayed till next time for 8:25 and 8:18.
Right?
Okay. Announcements. Anyone have an announcement?
No.
Why don't I say what I said again?
Okay.
Before the people could hear this. I delivered your message, the Select Board's letter to Senator regarding the PFAO in our landfill, to Senator Leahy today at noontime, and to Senators Sears and Campion, and I'm mailing the same letter to Governor Shumlin. I also got the latest update from Governor Shumlin today, and I forwarded it to Tim Scoggins, who I thought would pass it out to you. If I can get this to work tonight, I can send it to you also tonight, but I'm not sure that I can get on your system.
Okay, I
did not.
don't think I didn't see it, I know that, you might have sent it.
That's okay, not to worry, as soon as I get home, I'll send it to you.
I just
Or I'll
want
send
to,
it, why don't I send it to one of you, to Mitch or to Art or to
that's
somebody?
fine.
And then you can distribute it. Or I'll
Send
send
it
it
to
to
Dave Kearney,
Dave,
yeah,
so it's
Dave.
even better.
If you send it to me right now, we can put it up. I'll be
I can't send it,
Okay. I'd like to say that I've been very busy at my real job, and it's taken a lot of time away from everything I do, I try to do for the town, and that's the paying job, so I have to give that higher priority. And last week for the public hearing, I was out of town, and it's gonna be that way through probably November. It's gonna be hit or miss whether I make it to the select board meeting. It depends on what's going on at work. But I'll try to be here as many times as I can, and that's all I can do.
Hey, Dave, would you please just briefly paragraph what was in that letter? I mean, we mentioned the letter, but let's tell the public what the letter
I can
said.
put that
You
up.
want me-
if
want me-
you wanna read
I'll-
it.
Yeah, I'll read it.
I don't have it either, so I
I
assume we're
got
just
it.
asking for a spot at the table.
Here you go. Thank you.
Want to read
Just
it?
don't, no.
Sure. This is to Alyssa Shuren, Commissioner, Agency of Natural Resources, Department of Environmental Conservation. Dear Ms. Shuren, the Shaftsbury Select Board and its citizens of our town urge you to reconsider the designation of the town of Shaftsbury as a responsible party for PFOA pollution at our closed landfill. It is not fair or appropriate to blame Shaftsbury for pollution in the same way that you blame a chemical company that profited from pollution. Since PFOA was found at very low levels in a monitoring well at the closed Shaftsbury landfill, we have been cooperating with the state to provide bottled water for residents and to do further testing in nearby residential wells. However, please note that by providing bottled water and well testing as ordered, we are not admitting responsibility for PFOA contamination of groundwater at the landfill. As we contemplate our next steps, our citizens are justifiably concerned about the potential cost of cleanup. In a worst-case scenario, Shaftsbury could see hundreds of thousands of dollars in cleanup costs, depending on the results of well water tests. It could prove more than we can bear. It makes sense that a company that profited from pollution should pay to clean it up. It's harder to understand why a town like Shaftsbury that acted in the public interest by operating a state-regulated landfill should be treated the same way. The task of dealing with solid waste is a statewide endeavor, executed locally under state law. Dealing with PFOA contamination from landfills is a state problem, not a burden that can or should be borne by the unlucky town. There are hundreds of closed landfills in the state, virtually one for every town. Some will have PFOA above 20 parts per trillion and some will not. Surely, we will not dole out the burden by the luck of the draw. We are asking the state to help us with the costs of the PFOA cleanup. PFOA pollution is a statewide issue that requires a statewide response, not just uncovering it, but also cleaning it up. Very respectfully, Shaftsbury Select Board. And as Alan just mentioned, she sent a copy to Dick Sears, Brian Campion, Patrick Leahy, and she sent it to Peter Shumlin.
Governor Shumlin.
We can go on to public comments.
Yes, John Staples. Does the town know who the responsible party is in this matter?
We do not. It could be people, there could be
From the garbage?
garbage thrown away, Teflon pans, scotch guarded carpet. PFOA is virtually everywhere. It's just the concentration of it that is really a concern, and Vermont has a very low threshold for that compared to the EPA and other states. So it's around. Everyone, if you cook an egg in a Teflon pan, chances are you have some PFOA in your system. And it's
So if I understand correctly, the town's not exactly sure who the responsible party is. You're asking the state for help in cleanup efforts.
And whatever that may be, whether it be the remediating, putting filters on these wells, if they have come back above the threshold. I mean, they've done it all through North Bennington and,
Pownell.
it's
Pownell has
Pownell.
filters.
It's definitely a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. They've got to do, these tests, when you're talking trillions, parts per trillion, it's a finite test that has to be executed very, very succinctly.
Do we know what level the detection was? I know it was above 20, but
22 in one and 26 in the other.
25,
still
25.
fairly low.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very low.
And what should be noted, those were just monitoring wells, they're only 20 some odd feet deep. We don't know what it is in the aquifer where people drill down the bedrock and start taking their well water out of there. This was just, and
Surface
you
water.
kind of expect it in monitoring wells because that's what they were put there for, was to pick up groundwater and not the,
What about sampling in nearby residents?
that's what's
That's
being
in
done now.
process as we speak.
26 people are
Yeah.
going to be sampled.
They've done a quarter-mile radius around the dump landfill to check those wells out, and we should have results in a couple weeks.
The federal level is 70 per minute, per trillion.
Yeah, EPA, and
Yeah.
New York has a 400 parts per trillion. So,
So did this just come up because of all the other PFOA that?
I think is the state mandating all monitoring wells be tested?
No, the state requested us specifically to test our landfill because of the proximity to the Bennington landfill. The Bennington landfill also had some negative results. So they were just curious to see ours because we're close, theoretically, to St. Cobain, and the plant over there, we're close to the Bennington landfill. So we were the only one that I'm aware of in the state that's been asked to test the
Oh, really?
landfill.
Well, we're-
They are going around now, the gentleman, Mr. Schwer, said at the meeting last week, they are going around testing some other landfills. What they're basing those requests on, I don't remember him saying specifically why they were picking different landfills.
But they picked Powell because of the,
Well, they had-
the
Because
leather.
they had a plan.
Yeah, the
There's a
leather.
little string going
Yeah.
down through there, but we're just a little bit north, so they picked here.
Well, at this point though, we're the only town in the state that doesn't have or didn't have a factory that had PFOA.
You mean Shaftsbury?
Yeah.
Shaftsbury is the only town in the state that didn't have a factory that tested positive for it.
But due to our proximity to St. Cobain, that's one of the reasons they chose this landfill.
Right, but you gotta remember that the state of Vermont's standard is 3.5 times lower than the EPA standard.
Right.
One of the reasons for our designation is the law requires, when any pollutant is found, a responsible party be identified. Because this has always been a municipally owned landfill, we were chosen. There's no direct correlation to any company or anything else. It's just been the town landfill. To expedite things, the responsible party was chosen. We received a letter telling us we were the responsible party, and these are the things that either we did or they would do and seek compensation for having done it. And I think the board thought that it was best to take care of the residents first and address these other complications, which we're doing now. But right now, we're the only municipal facility that's being told they're the responsible party for a standard
They're saying
landfill.
we're responsible.
At this stage,
Yeah. So the cost of the water to residents and everything is coming out of our pot.
The testing,
The
the
testing.
remediation if it's found.
Yeah, at this stage, when we get the results back in 2 or 3 weeks from the testing of the wells, we'll see where we are. The wells could come up perfectly fine, but we still have PFOAs at the landfill, which in every other state would not even be an issue. We wouldn't even be discussing this.
Does the town of Shaftsbury have any knowledge of the results from North Bennington and the responsible party of that contamination at St. Cobain? Is that information?
All that
That's all
information-
public, that's all public knowledge.
If you go on our webpage, there's a link, direct link to DEC and all the information on this.
Okay.
And it identifies wellheads, all kinds of issues are addressed on there.
it has about a half-life of 2.5 years in the human body, so if you were exposed, it would take 2.5, half would be gone, 2.5 years, half would be gone, and then, over time, it'd be unnoticeable.
Yeah, the reason that our standard is so much lower than the federal government is because Vermont is very serious about safety for its people. And also, fetuses and infants from the age of 0 to 1 have a higher concentration of water in their bodies than children over 1 and adults.
But Alice, the discovery that PFOAs,
Little louder, please.
the discovery that PFOAs were toxic is a relatively new finding. It was not illegal to dump it or to use it up until recently.
I was on the select board for 6 years, I think from 93 to 97, 98, something like 99. And I never remember this coming up.
Right.
The state tells us, I believe, you might want to check on this, what we have to test for in our
Right.
landfill.
Right.
I know we've been very good about
Yep.
doing their bidding.
Yeah.
Have we ever, the question has been asked to test for PFOA?
No.
And if not, then why are we responsible for it?
Well, that's my point, is that all of a sudden, retroactively, the state is telling us that we're responsible for a chemical that they said they didn't even know existed. And now, all of a sudden, years later, we're responsible for it. I just have a hard time.
I think the reason for this letter is to get the word out to
Yeah.
all the leaders in
Yeah.
our state about the fact that a town of 2,500 voters, taxpayers, cannot afford the expense that
Yeah.
could be incurred should this be, should the wells that are tested be over the standard of 20. This could get very expensive. So we've got the word out there, but you do know that ANR and the Department of Environmental Conservation have been so cooperative and so helpful. They brought people here and scientists down here to talk to us, to educate us by mail, in person. And this is just one issue where we differ very strongly, and we need to deal with them very civilly and hopefully get them to change their mind.
I just want to announce publicly that I think Shaftsbury or representatives from Shaftsbury have got to be at the table where all this is discussed. Okay?
I've been to
Where
every
will it all be
single.
discussed? You mean like the meetings that they're having at the college, or?
Yes.
No, it's somebody, there's got to be a precedent set. I think we're a precedent-setting situation right now because always before, they've always been able to blame somebody, if that's the
Yeah.
right
Yes.
word. And they're using the word pollutant but that's,
Until recently, it wasn't really a
it wasn't
pollutant.
even,
It was
it was
It was a
manufactured,
known-
it was developed legally, manufactured legally, sold, you bought a can of Scotch Guard, it was right full of it, so.
Sure.
And it never broke down. The rug you put it on went to the dump and the rug rotted away, but the Scotch Guard never did. In fact, they bragged about it would last forever, literally, when they developed it.
And I did.
Is there a difference between a contaminant and a pollutant?
Well, I don't know, we're using
We're not
words.
scientists, so.
No, and we're using words like it was illegal, and that's the point I'm trying to make.
It wasn't.
It-
It's not.
It's not, and so I think we're at a point where this could be a precedence. We've got to, and I think Shaftsbury has got to be a member of that group that comes up with a precedence on how are we going to handle this?
Well, I think other towns will look to Shaftsbury because there's many, many landfills throughout the state that are in
Exactly.
the same situation as we are.
Well, we don't know that yet. See, right now, Shasbury is the only one.
Well, I think this is
Besides
the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, yes.
Oh, gosh.
It's
Yes.
obvious.
Yeah.
It's really obvious.
Well, in Hoosick, I mean, they're doing blood work on people.
Oh, yeah.
They've done that in North
Well,
Bennington too.
North
Oh,
Bennington
yeah.
had 400 something samples,
Yes.
blood samples.
Oh, they did?
And they've just gotten those results too.
Now, is St. Cobain being responsible for those?
No, so,
Unsettled.
Well,
When they were
Yeah.
designated the responsible party, they did the water, they pay for testing. But we're at the very front end of this. The presumption that St. Cobain is going to just write checks, I think is a little ambitious.
I heard they're done.
Yeah, this is just here too.
Yeah.
They have a major operation in New Hampshire that is also very troubled, has many polluted wells.
well, it's the nature of their business.
They'll go bankrupt.
Yeah.
You know, I
but-
haven't heard it on the national news at all.
Well, because, this is one of these things where, okay, it's this chemical, next week it's gonna be another chemical, which is the other reason why the board's correct here, and, we have to address how all these things are gonna be faced in the future, because in 2 years, there'll be this other common thing that was manufactured and used
Exactly.
everywhere, and all suddenly that's gonna be a problem, and, well, maybe we have some of that too.
So when we have the day, where you bring all your old paint and all that jazz, we have to bring our old
Hazardous
WD-40
waste,
bottles and Teflon
Yeah.
pans and stuff like that?
Yeah, hazardous waste day is twice a year, and the 2 I was at here, we collected quite a lot of paint
Yeah.
and things. Paint and things like that have never been allowed in the landfill. So, I mean, there's a whole list of things that weren't allowed there, and that's why the hazardous waste days were done, to keep known things out. In this case, you have an unknown that's suddenly becoming a huge topic. And it's
St.
very-
Cobain, as I understand it, is also suing the state of Vermont, challenging their,
That they're blaming St.
they're challenging the level
Right.
that the state of Vermont has set.
Oh,
Because the level the state of Vermont uses is 3.5 times lower than the
Federal.
federal.
so,
And the federal is 70 parts per trillion. And New York State is 400 parts per trillion. And Vermont is 20.
20.
yeah.
I mean,
well,
back in the 70s, I worked for Burgess Brothers, a construction company in Bennington. They had a chemical landfill. We would go to Eveready Battery in Bennington and load 55-gallon barrels on the back of a truck every week and take them to the landfill and push them over the bank. 20
Push
years
them
later,
where?
in Bennington.
Oh,
20 years later, it was a Superfund site,
but
but it was totally legal at the time.
they had permission to do that.
I loaded them barrels myself.
you're still here. Thank God.
Ain't killed me yet. Of course, I'm nastier than some.
2 meetings back. Okay, any other public comments? We will be discussing the landfill update in about 3 topics on the agenda. A little more. I mean, I think we
I
kind
think
of
we just covered
covered
about
that.
everything.
Cover everything new, right?
Yeah,
Can
so-
we, like, as a different subject comes up, can we, do we have to do our announcements now?
Oh, if
Public, no, you can
Yeah,
speak.
well, I'll let you
Okay. thank
speak
you.
up if
Go
you
ahead.
want to contribute. So, if there's no more public comments, Melanie.
Melanie.
Hello.
Good evening.
It's the boring part of the meeting.
We want to keep it that way too, please.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's my goal.
Oh, you want your
Do you
thing
have
up there.
the cash flow? I didn't bring a hard copy, so.
Sorry, I'm a little behind. This is Tim's job, and I'm not.
The bottom line is we're still in good shape for cash. I haven't had to draw any money on the line of credit yet, probably won't for, well, that's a pretty big warrant you're gonna give me tomorrow, so, probably at least another couple of weeks,
Here we go.
which is all to the good. We've got, you can see the tax prebates came in, that was a chunk of money, slightly ahead of more of them than last year, about $3,000 more. And we got some highway state aid, so that's what all the receipts, you can see we were over $90,000 in receipts. And going out, it's more, but we've still got plenty of cash. you have any questions about any of that top half? Okay, it gets more interesting lower down. So yeah, you can, there's the budget status. You can see we've, the revenues are just about the same as last year for this time of year. The expenditures are quite a bit ahead, and I talked about those with Dave today. That's just because of just timing. That's
Front
not-
loaded, a lot of front loaded.
Yeah, and it's like a lease payment
Yep.
and
Wills insurance.
insurance, yeah. So although that looks like we're spending more money, it's just totally a function of timing. And then down at the bottom, I think I have the delinquent taxes.
Yeah,
Page down a little more.
So I have a little bit more.
Can you page down a little more?
Oh,
79,000.
And that's still, we can see way ahead of last year. I don't know what Mert's up to, but he's really doing well with delinquent taxes. We've got it down below 30,000 as of right now. I don't have a grand list yet, so I have not been able to set the tax rate. But as soon as that comes through, then probably, I'll turn the tax rate around. We expect it. We've talked about what it's going to be. There are not going to be any surprises except the thousandth of a penny. I don't think I have anything else. Anybody have any questions about any of this?
Nope.
We don't have
that-
final numbers for you. I know you're going to
Yeah,
ask.
that's coming, right? That's gonna be next time.
Yeah. There's still some expenses that need to hit the last fiscal year, but
Okay.
We're narrowing it down, but it is going to be a pretty good surplus. I still believe it will be. For fiscal 17, I had already cut about 110,000 out of the budget. So most of the surplus you saw this year is already not in this budget. And the rest is weather. I mean, and the downsizing of the road crew alone. The weather and downsizing of the road crew cut the budget by a good 75,000. So, and those are unanticipated things. Not doing the work in here, things like that. Hazardous waste day that we budgeted for, but then didn't have to have when we did the new swap. That's 20,000 alone we spent on that every year. So
Now we're done.
it's just changes, one-time changes that happened, and a very mild winter helped out. But just to give Melanie something to do, there will be about $200,000 in bills this month,
Yeah.
just from paving.
that's
So
usually this is always a good month.
Then we
just
have
something to plan for.
Don't we have to wait, and we haven't received the funds for those yet until.
No, you pay up front and then you get the funds. So
So that's,
it's just a bulge, but of course we don't collect taxes for a few months. So it's
But we
part
did
of
that last year
Yeah,
too.
we do it every
So
year.
It's probably going to be pretty
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
yeah, same as it always is. Any questions from anyone?
No.
Well, thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
Thanks for keeping it moving.
Do my best.
The road foreman report.
The road foreman, I told not to come this evening if he got off work in time, but he's still not off work. We're milling, or profiling as it's called, East Road today, and the machine broke. It was down for 3 hours. They went and got a new one. The option was to shut the whole thing down for a day and everybody lose time and effort, or go long. So Steve and I believe Ron were willing to work overtime, so they're staying to get this done.
So that's not our machine though, right?
No, that's a Peckham's machine, but things happen. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So that should be finished tonight. The milling part of it, we're expecting to pave it late next week is when it's on the schedule for paving. Other projects that are going on, Harvest Hills and Hewitt Drive have been prepped. They've been profiled, the sides cleaned, culverts put in. That will be done in a week or two. It's all dependent on, because what they're going to do, Parent Acres, all the roads in Parent Acres are also going to be chip sealed. So they're going to do the cold asphalt treatment on the first 700 yards of Harvest Hills and all of Hewitt Drive. And then the chip sealing team will come in, they're going to chip seal both of those roads and all Parent Acres probably in 2 days. And they'll just bring all the equipment here, and they'll be mobilized, so we don't have to pay for mobilization twice. And they'll just
Chip sealing's where they put down the tar and.
the tar and
sprinkle it.
and the aggregate on top, and then they roll it, and it's done in a day. The roads are never closed. And for Hewitt, because we're going to use the cold asphalt was set up, and then it'll seal with the chip seal on top of it. It'll be all done. East Road is straight. hot paving, so it'll be done. But that, Bowden Brothers are going to do that probably the end of next week. And some other things for the roads, we all know, the road crew knows that with the heavy rains, we had some ruts in some roads. We intend to pick that up as soon as we finish with East Road, which should be Thursday. Hopefully we'll be completely done with the task there. Our summer employee was injured off the job. He was the employee who was going to drive the grader and keep everything up to date while we did the construction, and it just didn't work out, unfortunately. So as soon as East Road is done, because we're on schedule to keep ahead of the pavers, because that's where the money is, we will go back to taking care of all these roads. For the most part, they're good. But I know, like Eleanor's Way and a few other roads have some issues that we have to get to. But it's just timing.
I did get an email from a couple, or from a citizen saying that they did a great job on North Road, and some other road, I can't, but they were very happy with must have been after the rain. And just throwing that out.
We've gone out a few roads after the rain were addressed quickly because they had serious problems. A lot of the rest of them, we do know they need grading. Some areas have to be brought in. There's some culverts that need to be cleaned. But we just had to prioritize, knowing that any delay to the construction companies, if we delay chip sealing, it can't be done. We only have to the mid-August before the plant closes. So that has to be done, and then asphalt, you have to be on their schedule or it doesn't get done. Everybody will be back out doing the regular maintenance on the roads towards the end of this week and all of next week.
So we actually lost road crew people?
Well, yeah, we downsized one, and we had a summer replacement, the same gentleman who plowed for the winter, but he's not able to come to work, and unfortunately left us our flex man short. And he was really the person we intended to be out doing this grading while the crew was putting in all the culverts for this construction.
So every time the road gets graded, and then we have a heavy rain, the same thing happens over and over and over again.
On your road?
Yeah, Mullen Road, same. There's washboard. I mean, you go by Bill Fisk's, it's like washboard. And there's always been a big, right near the stop sign, a great big
Wash.
hole full of, I just wonder, it seems like we just repeat all the time. The same, as soon as it's done, it needs to be done again. And if we have 60 miles of dirt road in this town,
That's the it's the nature of roads.
That's the nature of it.
Whether it's paved or it's gravel, the maintenance is continuous.
It is.
And
I
like
mean-
where you're talking about the end of the road, where you're going onto White Creek.
Yeah, that's you're always
You're
gonna have-
accelerating
Always
and
gonna-
it chews it up. The other problem, frankly, is it'd be nice if people backed off the accelerator a little bit.
Oh,
I drive around town and people are flying down dirt road at me at 45 miles an hour. 50. The
while
road's
you're
not-
standing there,
The
too.
road's not intended for that, and the dirt road's never going to really stand up to that. And people come around corners and it digs it and tracks.
Remember we heard the guy the other night?
But
Yeah.
we're also doing a lot with using a little bit better grade of
Yeah.
gravel when we do it. The gravel breaks down over time. All the little rocks get rounded corners, whereas they should be interlocking with sharp corners and all that sort of stuff. So it's just a constant thing. But
Yeah. And we have changed the material we get when we rebuild roads and put new surfaces on them. We'll also just made significant increase in the amount of chloride we put down, which will eliminate a lot of the dust. I mean, there's some roads still that by their nature are still really dusty, and that's a little harder to deal with. But any road that we've done extensive work on, we put much better quality material on it, which does just what Art says, because it interlocks and it holds better in place. But in heavy rains, like the 2 rainstorms we got that are really heavy,
Well, and that's just it. We've
If-
been getting a lot heavier
if it-
downpours.
yeah, if the
Than we
rain's
used to.
coming, it's still basically little rocks and dirt. And it's gonna move. If you give enough water on it, it's gonna move.
You get
Yeah.
an inch and a half hour, that's a lot of rain.
Yeah, and, you know, it's the same. I drive through 2 different towns pretty much every day. And I still make the same left and right around the one pothole in Arlington every day, you know? And it's the nature of the roads. I think as I've driven around the town last week, towards the end of the week, I found most of the roads at a reasonable speed were perfectly fine. I mean, you do get some washboarding in some spots. You do get a pothole here and there, and you do have to watch out for them, but being from New Jersey, I know lots of paved pothole roads where, you know, it's not much of a, you know, it happens everywhere. Gravel roads, especially having 50, it takes a lot of effort to keep them up and to get them up to where they should be. And it would be very expensive.
To pave.
Well, to pave. I mean, to redo all the roads, because just as a little exercise, I think I sent you this last year, was about $6.8 million.
Right.
And that's not paving. That's resurfacing gravel roads and paving, repaving paved roads. So if you're talking about really doing something, you know, right now, our materials budget is a little over 100,000.
Yeah,
So
that won't even touch
if
it.
I get 65 times my budget, we can hire a whole bunch of people. But we're looking for new ways of addressing these issues too, so.
So the making the ditches, I noticed on Rolling Road, is that to keep the water to, because it's not everywhere.
So it doesn't
No.
load up and come up over the road and wash out some other way.
Okay, and then dumping some over the side is to keep the road in place there.
Yeah, they're talking about the place where the brook just below,
Oh, there. No, that one time, what was
It's,
that?
that's when Stacy was here, but
Yeah.
it's still happening.
yeah.
We noticed that, but is
Oh.
that?
We have permission from the state to drop,
To drop it in that area, okay.
Yeah,
that's right. That's where the big rocks,
Oh, the big rocks there, okay, yep, okay, that spot, all right, I was thinking of the other
you don't
spot.
want to go over in there.
No. No, the other ditching is another thing, it's an integral part of keeping the road in place. You
Yeah,
know, it's crown the ditching and the surface material. And the ditching is to channel the water away.
yeah, because I noticed it's not on both sides, it's not the whole way.
No, you address as much as you can, but again, if you have, our responsibility in town is close to 60 miles, so it's 120 miles of curbing or ditching, and 120 miles of curbing and ditching takes quite some time to get around, so you'd kind of have a program of going around and cleaning them up, but you can't visit them all every year, but you
Right.
address the more difficult spots.
Okay.
I feel compelled to make a comment here. I've been talking to my neighbor, Ted Morse, who is knowledgeable about road material. And he complains quite verbally and
Never
gi-
comes here, though.
He gives me an earful about the material used in the town of Shaftsbury on the dirt roads, and I listen. And you had said that better material is starting to be considered or to be used in our town. Yeah, he talks about the slime on the roads and
Yeah.
how poor quality it is, and he
Greasy.
talks about
Well-
the aggregate
Yeah.
ability of some rocks to come together and really glue it down tight.
Yeah.
And
There is a little science behind this. I've said it here too. When I first sat downstairs, I got a call about my road is slimy. I didn't even know what that meant, and I went over it. I was like, well, it is.
it's slime.
It gets
Heavy
slimy.
You know,
clay, marl, slime.
But we've
slimy.
moved away from that material, and especially when we rebuild roads, we're using a much better stone that won't produce those effects.
So the roads that were up there, they're getting rebuilt, like around.
They're not all being, chip seal is not being rebuilt. The surface stays the same. It's swept, a layer of tar is sprayed down, and the aggregate is spread up across the top, and it's rolled into place. Those are for paved roads.
Those are only blacktop roads.
Yeah, those are paved roads.
Okay, because I know East Road is blacktop.
Yeah, that's being milled, that's being
Yep.
completely redone.
Yeah.
East Road. These other roads, well, Hewitt's being completely redone, because there was barely a road left. And the first 720 yards or 700 yards of Harvest Hill, that's being completely redone. But the rest of it was wearing okay. But again, you're trying to address issues as we go forward. And paving is very, very expensive. This
Right.
section of East Road, which is only from Furnace Brook to a few hundred yards north of Buck Hill, is about $154,000. So,
Half mile? That's 220.
3,810
Okay, a
feet.
little bit more than a half mile.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, yeah,
We're the wrong business. Should be paving.
can't afford it.
I know.
Sometimes you have to consider that we're limited on what we can get for material to like Daly's,
Yeah,
and sometimes they'll change their mix or whatever. We pretty well gotta live with what they got.
oh, okay.
It's not
So we
always.
definitely support
Yeah,
our local.
Other that, other,
Right.
Well,
other
no,
other
it's
than that,
just
you have to
that-
pay transportation costs to get it from somewhere else
Yeah.
to get it over
The
here.
next nearest material supplier like that is in Wallingford.
Yeah,
It's 50 miles away.
yeah, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, and last
So-
year and this year, when we do rebuilding, we were gonna get, the material last year, we got it all from the quarry down in Hoosick. And if you like my pile back here for winter sand, we trucked it all and stockpiled it back here. And then our trucks just got it from here and brought it to the site. Because we could get better material and pay someone, you pay a Triumph to bring up stuff, it's a lot cheaper than us going back and forth.
Yeah, I get that, I get that. I've been away for a little bit. These are two different subjects. First of all, is the town hall staying here?
Don't
That's-
know.
We don't have a,
We haven't talked, I haven't
Yeah.
been around to talk about that much.
we haven't had any answers on anything, so it's.
We are in talking with somebody about a different place, yes.
The place next to Paulette's over there?
Yes,
That'd be a good place.
yep.
And the garage?
That's coming up.
That's on the agenda. It's on the agenda coming up here right after the Howard Park playground rebuilds.
Oh, okay.
And we can talk about that when we get there. How's that? Okay, anything else on the road form report, Dave?
No, I think that's it. That's it.
Okay,
Thank
PFOA landfill updates, I think we kind of beat that up on the beginning of the meeting, if anyone else has any questions. Okay. Howard Park, Cleveland Park rebuilds. Dave?
I had this in as a placeholder with our PFOA things and everything. I was not able to move this along very far. But certainly by the end of the summer, we'll have the material put down. And as I said at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, in Cleveland Park, we'll have the material down. In Howard Park, we're just going to pick up the 2 remaining pieces of play equipment and store them until we can design and properly go next year.
Okay. Any questions? Proposed town garage, what's going on with that? I missed the last couple of meetings too.
Well, the town garage actually is not moved in any direction. We're just waiting for the report back from MSK on the overall site plan. Morton's waiting on that. We're waiting on the closing of the property we're buying. The meeting we had, you weren't here at the last meeting, I don't think we talked about this. We were with TAM about what their needs would be to realign the transfer station, what our needs would be with the trucks. MSK came and measured all our equipment, and so we would know the proper radiuses of where to put everything over there. Because of our bylaws, we have to be, I forget, 180 feet back from North Road. The transfer station does, not the garage. So our original concept of location all has to be rearranged, and that's what the MSK is working on now. So I believe we're looking for March at this point.
MSK's.
Engineering company.
Okay, any questions on the proposed town garage? No? Okay, sidewalk project, corner of 7A and
All
Church.
right, we have a milestone.
What?
We're gonna open bids.
Oh, no. I remember this before.
Oh, many people. This is the construction inspection bid, which was due today. The construction bid is due on August 8th. I believe Tony and Tim will be there to open the bids. These bids tonight, I'm going to open these. There's a copy for everyone. I have to send a copy to a state because the reviewing party is the select board, myself, and my representative up in Montpelier. So we'll just open these and take them under advisement. We'll vote on these on the 15th. As you can see, these are not small. We'll take them up on the 15th. By the 15th, we'll have the construction bids also. They're, like I said, they're due August 8th at noon. And at noon, they'll be opened. There'll be a little sheet that KAS is providing. We will just simply transmit all this to KAS. They will evaluate the qualifications and the quality of the bids, and they will make the recommendation. We don't have much say in that. It's in the contract. It has to be meet this, and that.
So what are you opening up now?
This is construction inspection. On a federal project, we're required to have an independent inspector of the construction, like a clerk of the works.
This isn't even,
This isn't even building it. This is just, I wanted to get this going because I didn't want to delay until we had a construction contract. Hopefully, if we can get a satisfactory bid on Monday, I know we have at least 2 coming in. We will award it on the 15th and hopefully have a completed sidewalk by December 20th.
From your lips
Because I
to
gave it
God's
to the
ears.
last day of fall.
Right.
This is right out here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 just around the
Tony,
corner.
it's like a memorial project. Been going how many years?
Oh, I thought the garage was something.
Oh, wait, right,
This is longer
this
than
is,
that.
this is worth it.
Make sure there's enough copies of all these because that's the first part they fail on. This is actually, I'll send you all, if you haven't seen it already,
Right.
there's criteria that these are to be graded on. There's a copy for each. And this is Du Bois and King. And we do have the proper number of copies. It's like Jeopardy. And here's cost proposals, again, proper number of copies. Cost proposals. Perfect.
Now, is this a local, we keep
I'm
this
sorry?
local?
No, this is federal money.
Oh, okay.
We hope it goes local, but we can't do that.
If it was local, we needed a 100-foot tape and be all done.
And a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
It's funny, I put mine away. You can read out the total if it's obvious there.
Okay, the town of Shaftsbury construction phase review, is that what this is?
Construction inspection.
Construction inspection from the DuPont has a total price of $14,890.
Right.
Principal in charge, 460. Manager of construction phase services, 2,940. Resident project representative, 7,500, for a total of 10,960 plus some miscellaneous charge, telephone, fax, Vermont testing budget, computer charges, plotting train, okay, miscellaneous, in a total of 3,900 for a total of $14,890.
Yeah, this is from KS.
I got that.
Shaftsbury around the block site.
Is there a conflict of interest because they were the engineers on the thing? or-
No, actually, I went through that with the state. KAS had no part in putting together the RFP or the RFQ for this. Myself and Derek, who's the V-Trans rep for the thing, we put it together. So, although, you know, they did design this, they had no part in the specs for this part.
Okay, yep.
And everybody's resume back here. That's what, yeah, it's just-
Okay.
it's resumes here.
Yeah.
The cost for KAS, total cost is $11,668 with administration at $25.83, construction inspection at $77, and material and equipment inspection and testing, $1,200. Total extended cost, $9,000, the direct expense, $2,000, for a total of $11,668. So that compares to
Should be
$14,890 by Dubois and King.
And just to be clear for everyone at home, there's a structured format we have to follow in awarding this bid. There's different percentages assigned to different aspects to look at. And the state will assist us in the technical line and tell us what this costs. And this is from Staff Sterling Management. And they do construction management around the state.
Handwritten. Some are down.
All these trees we're killing.
When we did the Sunderland Town Hall, you should have seen the things we got. Our book was like this thick,
Oh, I'm
and then the
sure.
bids.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
So, this is called around slot.
Right.
I love it, on the block sidewalk.
It doesn't quite make it around the block. What?
How long is the sidewalk?
About 350 feet.
Oh, no, the whole round the block? The block is almost exactly a mile.
Yeah, the whole project. And then it went up this side also, right? And, yeah, it was quite a big project. This is the very tail end of this project.
Let's see
The
bus
very
bottom
tail
line.
end.
Okay, for Staff Sterling Management LLC, we have a grand total cost estimate of $24,180, which breaks down to, well, they got on-site inspector for $12,375, project manager for $6,175, and the company principal $1,690, and an independent lab testing for $440. Cost of field test, $200, add for travel cost, $2,100, $800, for a total of $24,180. So that's Sterling Management.
Okay. So I will take a copy and get it up to Derek at V-Trans. He'll also be one of the people that reviews it, and on the 15th, we'll come back and we'll take a vote. Any questions that you have on any of this, I can refer technical questions up to Derek, and he can get back and provide the answers for us. While I'm away, because I'll be away from Wednesday night until the 15th, I'll have the laptop, and because this is going on along with other stuff, so I'll be in contact all the time, so any questions, you can just let me know.
Okay. So they all have the same inspection
they all have-
criteria and,
They all have the same thing. If you go to I don't know if I put it in the Dropbox a couple of weeks ago, it's pretty large, so I probably just left it on the website. But the RFP and the RFQ for this are on the website, you can just review what we need to do for it.
So if this is the last part,
Mhm.
then each section, this happens for each section, they just don't continue with the same?
I don't know where this was in works for about 2 years before I got here.
Oh,
So I don't even know when the other parts.
I think it took a few years to get that approved, and they stopped. And they should have gone around the corner at that point, and it never did.
Yeah,
Never
it
happened.
just kind of stopped. And then there were changes to this too. There was the addition of crossing flashers. Then there was the addition of there's going to be radar signs in this too, at either end of town, so people slow down for the 25. So there were changes, and there's been changes in V-Trans. Sometimes, and the big thing is, of course, we're getting this done for very little money because we're getting federal money. Federal money has a lot of paper associated with it because it's
red tape.
come from Washington through probably Boston, through Montpelier to us. This one has been difficult, and I don't think anyone in any of the areas would say this hasn't been a difficult project, but.
Change
We're
at the state,
We're
the
here.
person reviewing it,
Yeah, there's
kept changing
been
it, you know.
5 different people at the
Players.
state I've dealt with, as they've just had a lot of turnover in the last, but sometimes that happens, and, you know, yes.
Are there any limit, is there any time limit on how long you can keep the money?
No. Well, there is, but we're not even close to it. Because that was the first thing, when I saw how long this was, that was the first thing I checked, like when they were gonna take my money away.
Because we do have the
But,
grant for
Yeah,
it.
this is all basically out of, well, I'm not gonna say figures, but out of what this will cost, our percentage is now down to 10%.
There's a lot of work.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
holdup.
There was a lot.
Very much involved in this.
The
Karen
holdup,
and I worked
Alice.
very hard to get this money.
The holdup, Alice, was that it sat on somebody's desk in Montpelier, literally for months.
When that happens,
Yeah.
please call me.
But we did that time because it was like, well, nobody's looking
Yeah.
at this. And the latest stuff has just been, just,
Is it being held up there now?
no, I blew my top
You go get
a
'em,
few weeks
Alice.
ago. Because I just said to Tim, I said, you know what, I'll give him like 48 hours, and then we're calling Allison, because
It's really been a beautiful job that they've done.
Yeah.
Very good for the
this will
community, the kids, the seniors to walk.
This will
on
be a
the
very nice
sidewalk.
job, and you know, well, we're at the end now, so.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that this is just for sidewalks. Is there any landscaping or tree planting involved with this project?
There is a little thing on the corner here, there's also street lights. There's 3 street lights in this.
Yeah.
Like I said, the radar signs, the pedestrian crossing signs, the crosswalk itself, the entrance to the garage, which will now draw them further away from the intersection. There is a green area or garden, you know, I'm
Yeah.
not sure how I should phrase it, but there will be an area for things on the corner, but set back so that you can't obstruct it. Because a lot of times it does get obstructed. You're gonna have to start moving some of those signs back a little bit too, because some of those sandwich boards get a little large on the corner.
Anything else on the sidewalk project?
No, we'll do this, and like I said, the 8th, Tony and Tim will be here at noon. No other bids can be taken. We do expect a couple of bids at minimum, and just open them up. Like I said, I'll have a tabulation form for them. We'll send the whole thing up to KAS. By the following Monday, we'll have KAS's determination on who the successful bidder is, and we'll award the bid that night, along with this, hopefully. And then they're off. The whole
Okay.
project is estimated to be build time of 6 to 8 days. So it's whenever someone's going to squeeze this into their schedule, and you know, before they shut down for the winter, and just
Before
put it
winter.
in. Yeah, just put it in. You know,
Or if we have a winter like last year, they might be doing it in January.
yeah. They only have to December 20th. I mean, it was not
Dave, is this maybe a foolish question? Would it have been cheaper to do it ourselves?
You know, in this case, another big problem with this is you're dealing with a state right-of-way and a state highway. So no matter what, you have to be heavily involved with V-Trans, because they have to approve, that's why they have to approve. Now, if we wanted to go, like, pick a side street and put a sidewalk in, we could just go do it. But, you know, not that
State
there isn't
highway.
engineering with that, because anytime we do something, we face all kinds of liability if something is not done according to the specifications. And there are rules for everything you do, a municipality. So, I don't know, I wouldn't want to blanket and say we could have done the whole thing cheaper if we had done it
No, I'm just,
ourselves.
what you're talking about, 4 or 5 years of planning and this
Yeah.
and that, and the other thing,
There's been,
for 6 days of work. I
Like
mean, that sounds a little,
Like I
maybe out
said-
in left field, you might say?
no one involved in this isn't going to admit there's been some difficulties with this project. At different levels, the state, federal, local, everything, there's just been some
Right,
things
I
that have
mean,
got.
my thought is that, you know, I don't care if it comes from the federal, you know, that's not heaven down there. It's still our money.
Well, actually, most of
No.
this money is coming from somewhere else.
That's
A
Yeah.
huge portion of this money. I remember we're only paying $1 for every 10.
Yeah.
So,
But still, for 6 days' work for 5 years, it sounds a little, and I understand.
yeah. But it is heavily subsidized, which we do have to thank Alice, among other people, for getting some of these grants. When we got the pedestrian grant rolled into this, we got the transportation grant. Then the state let us merge them so that we're paying 10% instead of 20. So, you know, it's been delays, and yeah, like I said, no one's gonna, you know, pound their chest and say, boy, we got this off the ground quick, but we're at the end, so. It's just-
No, I'm just asking.
it's just-
Just saying.
Okay, thank you, David. Town, I think you've pretty much given a report on anything else you need to
No, I think that covers that. We
cover.
just have, my computer doesn't like Tim's machine.
There it goes.
Yeah, there we go. Where were we?
Our
Oh, the
town
Elm Street
administrator.
speed limit change.
Oh, did I miss that? Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I did, okay.
Yeah.
Elm Street speed limit change.
Okay, in your Dropbox was a speed limit ordinance
Yep.
for 25, changing Elm Street, its entire length to 25 miles per hour. I've already had this legally reviewed, and it's good to go. We want to formally introduce, this is another thing that I had hoped to formally introduce tonight, but the PFO, I think, put me off a little bit. I just had this approved, it's legally written properly and ready to go. So we'll have the first official reading on the 15th. The second reading will be around the 25th, because I figure there's going to be a special meeting either for PFOAs, or we're going to have a special meeting just to sign warrants, because there's a big block between the 15th and the 5th of September. So we'll have the second reading then, the third reading will be on September 5th, and it can go into effect on October 7th. And I did all the speed studies the state requires myself, because I have a background doing them, and I'll go testify in court if I have to, because I know they're correct. So,
Okay, so we're gonna have 3 public hearings starting the 15th.
The 15th.
Then probably a special meeting, if we don't have a special meeting, which we probably will, but it'll be,
it'll put it off another till
2 weeks.
the 19th of September then would be the third reading, which really
Okay.
wouldn't have any effect on anything. As long as we do the first reading on the 15th, it'll go into effect
On 10/7.
on 10/7.
that's when my work goes into effect. Okay, good. Anything else, David?
No, I think,
Any other business anyone wants to bring up?
oh, I did have one more thing.
Okay.
I put in late today, another thing I just wanted the board to look at for a public works employee.
So that-
That is going to cover the assistant water superintendent, the parks maintenance, snow plowing, building and grounds maintenance, and other duties. As we've been talking about for a long time, we have, the entire water department would like to retire. Jim's gonna retire in a year or two, and Joe has been retiring for a year or two.
Right.
The parks, we have a part-time person in the parks, but it'd be nice to be able to do some work in the parks during the winter. We could get our skating rink back up and working if we had someone to maintain it. We could have Howard Park plowed, and maybe anything from snowshoeing to cross-country trails to whatever else we could think of in there. We also need a snow plow driver, non-CDL, and a regular building and grounds maintenance worker, because we have different facilities from the transfer station to here that need to be maintained. And currently, we pay someone a little money to mow parts of the landfill. We pay a little money to have something done over here. So we're trying to consolidate into one job. I do not want to make it a full-time job, so I'm looking at, kind of modeled after Williston has these permanent part-time jobs from like 25 to 30 hours, because you have to keep it under a certain amount. But I'd like to see if we can find someone who would be interested in this type of job. I need to push it now because there's a Class D licensing class as a water operator in the Rutland area in September. So if we can find a qualified candidate, we could get him right to the Class D school, which we would pay for. And, you know, hopefully he'll pass it, he or she will pass it, and we'll be ready to go.
So the water department, the handyman, the driver is all one person part-time?
All
right?
one person part-time. The basic flow would be, the park takes up most of the time. From April to October, it would be maintenance in the park and water department things, because both billing periods are almost covered there. So the assistant water superintendent helps with the billing and collections. There's always time to be working the water department, whether it's repairs or whatever. And that's another reason we need to get this person in here, because if you don't get in the hole and start working on a broken pipe, you really can't learn anything. You can go to the class and know how it works, but you have to go in and do it. The snow plowing in the wintertime from November through the end of March, basically the snow plowing on a regular winter could take up most of his hours. You know,
How do you keep that below 30 hours?
well, during the winter, we might have to go over 30.
Okay. So
And we
does that-
can,
Does that change health insurance?
no.
All that sort of stuff?
On an emergent basis or on a non-permanent basis, it doesn't affect that.
Okay.
Yeah, because we can't, that's the whole thing, we can't go near that.
Yep.
And if worse came to worse, if something changed, we would just hold them back a little bit. But, you know, 30 hours would be, I could see easily plowing 30 hours in a week,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, easily.
In a good winter.
Yeah, yeah, if we had a normal winter. And then, you know, on days when then there isn't snow to be plowed, or that week doesn't look like anything's coming, because that would be very flexible scheduling. You know, if you see there's a storm coming on the weekends, we can see you on the weekend. But if it looks like we're in a bit of a dry spell, then there's things that can be found from routine maintenance in buildings like this to routine maintenance of the water department. But I think it's important to get out and see who's available out there. Almost everyone involved in all these jobs has expressed interest in one way or the other of, you know, moving on, whether their house is for sale or they're getting a little tired of doing things. The water department guys made it clear, and we do not want to go back up in full-time staff. It becomes expensive rapidly. This summer, like I said earlier, this summer would have worked great if our part-time guy hadn't. But this will also take care of that. Although we will probably still look for a part-time highway department guy in the summer.
So is the part-timer we had out of commission for the winter too? I mean, obviously
Well,
he was greater and everything else.
Yeah, we will take that up when we see what we get with this. If we can hire someone, he would be the winter plow driver. This employee, he would be the winter plow driver.
No.
I wouldn't need to hire another temporary seasonal, but that's easy enough to do also. Find someone who can do it. And there's always the part of, always talk about of beginning to contract out some of this work. It saves a lot of expense in equipment and other things. But with the boards, if the board wants to think about this, or I'll just get this out and we'll see who's out there.
And make a motion to put it out, put it
Yeah.
on.
Second.
Yep, okay.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Okay.
Passes
And
unanimously.
we'll get that out and we'll see if we have someone to send to the school in September. Yeah.
Have anyone in mind?
No, but I'll listen to all suggestions.
Anything else, David?
Nope, I think that covers everything I have.
Any other business?
No?
I have a question. Oh,
Go ahead.
I was wondering if the select board had any knowledge or information about why the Shaftsbury Country Store closed.
Only what I read in the paper, which was that they lost their inventory two times.
3 times, please.
the maintenance on the freezers and so forth, and that's all I read was what was in the paper.
So the problems that they have there will continue if somebody else buys it, so it's pretty much dead. That place is just done, is what I'm gathering.
Well, it's a private business. It's private property and private business. We really have little to do with it.
Well, it's, you know, it's Center Shaftsbury.
Yeah.
It's sad that we don't, you know, have that it can't work out for whoever invested in it. Quite a bit of money they invested in it, and it could happen again. And you know, there's not.
I guess what you're saying is there any incentive for the town to help in any way, shape, or form?
We do have grant money available from the town to 5R, that's a town center designation,
To do what?
to do electrical, facade, certain maintenance, they get
Tax
because
credits.
tax credits, because this is designated a village center. And so there is incentive for someone to do the maintenance and do the upkeep, but they aren't doing that.
Well, it depends on what you want, what the building is there. If you're gonna have a restaurant, your septic system is your first drawback. If you want to have a antique shop there, it's probably parking is the next drawback, but,
A restaurant too.
and a restaurant also, but, one of their failures was the septic system, which,
Was the
the former owner
former owner same thing?
had to live with, so.
Well, don't they have tenants up there that, right? Still?
I don't know. There were tenants. I
There
don't know if
are
there-
tenants.
So
The
they're
septic
just-
system is adequate for the facility, but it's not adequate to expand it into other
Restaurant.
uses.
So there's no town water around it? We don't have town water?
You get
Well,
town
town-
water,
Not town sewer.
It's
though.
town
Oh,
town
no
sewer, we don't have town sewer.
Oh. Well, it's, you know, sad because it's like a sleepy town till we light the Christmas tree, right? You know,
Mhm.
it's just,
I think we'd all love to see something there, but, and
well, it's gonna continue. I mean, how do you fix it? How do you fix that? You get septic people in there?
Well-
I don't think that they're,
It's fixable.
not in the confined space that they're in. It's in the
Yeah.
middle of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Between
Yeah.
there and the tenant house, so.
Yeah, that's
So-
too bad. Well, we're just
We
curious.
desperately need a sewer system in this
for any
town.
expansion in town, for any
Everybody knows that, but it's,
restaurants or stores or anything like that. And unless there's a complete failure where it affects the local
water's in the
water
state of
supply, or the grants aren't gonna be available, just, and what, 8 years ago, 10 years,
At least 10 years.
10 years ago, we did a study, it was
Very extensive.
what, 8 million for something for
Well,
the
it-
septic at that point, for the townwide septic. And they put it out to voters, and the voters basically said no, they don't wanna pay for it.
Just curious if the owners went into this with their eyes wide open, knowing that this problem existed?
Well, you've got
We got-
the owners and you've got the tenants.
Right, that's two different,
You got
Yeah.
two different
parties.
parties.
The owners bought it at auction, and they released it to the people that opened it.
Oh, so the people that opened the business did not
Oh,
buy the building?
correct.
Yeah,
That's right.
Correct.
Okay. So they maybe did not have a clue.
And then chances
We're
are,
not privy to that information.
It's just a shame that we have this little town and, you know, we've known about this problem, and these people go in there, and, you know, it's.
That's just business. It either works or it don't. What are you gonna do?
Obviously. But we don't have any other place except Paulins, really,
No.
right?
Really? Yeah.
So, everybody come to Shaftsbury. I'm just being sarcastic.
Well, a lot of the residents were excited. They said, okay, here comes a revival of a small country store.
Yeah.
It's gonna reopen. We're gonna shop there. We're gonna look forward to, some food and some consignment of other goods. And then 2 months later, they're done. They close their door.
I don't even think it was 2 months.
Well, there's a streetscape project going on to get a professional streetscape of what downtown could be. I mean, I've heard a lot of ideas, mine included. I mean, I would love to see the town garage moved out, put in even a temporary for business, a septic system out here, and turn this, if we moved over to Daly's, turn this into a restaurant tavern or something.
Yeah.
Those are but it's all time and money,
Yeah.
mostly money.
So, is the Daily building, I mean, it's been empty for years. I mean, can they give us a deal, or?
Well,
I
that's
mean-
it, we're negotiating,
Yeah.
and we had a checklist of stuff we wanted done, and I think that's still in negotiation. I haven't heard much since.
Before I left on vacation, they were having it appraised.
Mhm.
Oh, well, anyway, thanks for catching me up. Awesome.
Okay, anything else? Any other questions?
No.
I don't have any action items, I didn't write any down.
No.
Just the bids for that.
Bids
be
for the,
next meeting.
Any updates on do we need an executive session for the real estate?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second, third.
Well, it'd be nice to have a little venue.
Whatever.
Shaftsbury meeting adjourned at 7:47.